point, he threatened me and started walking away. So at that point, of course, I'm not going to take a threat without responding, and responded back with a threat. The officer at this point said, "Go," to the other guy. He started walking away, then he told me to go. I started to go, and he pushed me in the back towards my house, which I just had an MRI today at 5 o'clock to make sure there's no more damage to my back, because my lower back is now hurting, and it's all videotaped, recorded, and left at my attorney's office up north, which has nothing to do with down here, so we're not afraid about politics. He then went to around the corner to the taxi service. At the taxi service, he heard me getting into an argument with the gentleman back at Winchron, who was giving me the finger, cursing at me. It's a male thing, whatever it may be. I went back at him. He came back and said it was my voice only. Wow. I don't see how that could happen. That's pretty impressive to understand the tone of my voice to somebody else's. At that point, it was my wife videotaping. He looked at me and said, "Shut the hell up, or I'm going to throw you in effing jail." If this is the way you treat your local people, how are the local people going to respond? I have done nothing for this community but help. I've helped the schools. I've donated. 3 of my kids went through. Law-abiding citizen, never did anything wrong. Even when I had a portable garage, which is legal. Drew, God bless us all, came by and said the new ordinance came through, needed to take it down. Even though I knew it was grandfathered in, because it was already up, I took it down, not then, because I'm a law-abiding citizen. I do what I can to help people. And to be abused by the police department in such a manner is just absolutely wrong.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knudsen.
Well, I was wondering what can be done about this.
Mr. Raffetto.
Can we do some sensitivity training? I would like an apology, to be honest with you, from all 3 officers, and to pray that nothing has happened to my back from when he pushed me. Because I don't want to take this any further than this.
Okay.
This is...
Thank you. Mr. Raffetto.
Yes, Mayor, I'll be happy to respond on behalf of the governing body. Sir, thank you for your comments. They've been noted for the record. There is a process for filing complaints regarding any police matters. This is not the appropriate forum to do so. If necessary, the matter will be the subject of an internal investigation undertaken by the police chief and/or other law enforcement agencies. And if any deviations from proper police practice are found, then appropriate disciplinary action may be taken. All will be done through the proper channels. And that's all I would suggest that anyone comment on at this point in time with regard to the matters that you brought forward.
What are the proper channels, may I ask?
There's a process through the police chief, and we'll be happy to.
So I could go to the police chief,
Yes. which
which I did. I apologize. I went to the police chief. I met with the police chief. And when I told him the first story, he said he would take care of it. I have not had any response since.
Well,
So,
I'll be happy to follow up
I can,
with the
so I
police
have to
chief.
do it in a legal form. If I do it in a legal form, then it's going to go all the way. Other than that, I would appreciate an apology from all 3 officers here, the next meeting, and it would be done. Other than that, I will follow it to the fullest extent that I can. I have plenty of money, I have no problems.
Your request has been noted for the record.
Okay, thank you very much.
You know what?
Would anyone else like to speak during Voice of the Public? Okay, could I have a motion then to close Voice of the Public? May I have could I have a second? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Ms. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mr. Diver?
Yes.
Ms. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mechanica?
Yes.
Mr. Forbeck?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 19, 2011, a resolution permitting the governing body to exclude the public from a portion of a public meeting, whereas it has been determined by the governing body of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights that it is necessary to discuss the following specific matters. Personnel, Municipal Clerk Theresa Casagrande. Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act, specifically NJSA 10-4-12, permits the governing body to exclude the public from that portion of a public meeting during which such matters are discussed. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights as follows. That the governing body shall forthwith recess into a private executive session from which the public shall be excluded to discuss the above referenced matter. That the scope of the aforesaid executive session shall be limited to the above matter as stated. That matter discussed in executive session shall remain confidential until such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. That minutes of the executive session shall be prepared and maintained by the Borough Clerk, and that such minutes be submitted to the governing body for their review and approval no later than the second regularly scheduled meeting of the governing body following the holding of this executive session. That the Borough Council hereby declares that its discussion of the aforementioned subject will be made public once the minutes are approved by the governing body, provided the need for confidentiality no longer exists. For each of the above referenced items, the estimated date by which such disclosure can be made, or the occurrence that needs to take place before disclosure can be made, or both, are listed below. Subject of discussion, the Borough Clerk, necessary occurrence, final disposition. That formal action on any of the matters discussed in the executive session may only be taken during the open, public portion of a meeting of the governing body. That following the conclusion of this executive session, when the governing body reconvene the open portion of the meeting, action may be taken in public by the governing body about the matter discussed during this executive session. May I have a motion, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? May I have a roll call, please? This is to go into executive session.
Mr. Brennan? Ms. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mr. Diver?
Yes.
Ms. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mechanica?
Yes.
Mr. Forbeck?
Yes.
So we're going into executive session. Yes, oh yeah.